black and white sports supporters? Well, we're going to talk about the Connecticut Sun and the Minnesota Lynx, and mostly the Sun in this, because a few things have emerged. Number one, the Connecticut Sun. Enjoy your vacation.
Caitlin Clark was assaulted yesterday in her very first playoff game in the WNBA. Caitlin Clark played a terrible game, shot 4 of 17 from the field. The Indiana Fever got curb stomped by the Connecticut Sun.
Enjoy Cancun, because you're out. You're out of there. That's right. Of course, Alyssa Thomas, Bonner on that team.
Did you catch the Suns' playoff meltdown? Only 885,000 viewers did. That's less than half of Caitlin Clark's last game. What's behind this shocking viewership drop, and why is DiJonai Carrington getting dragged for it?
At all these WNBA games that they were playing in, it's kind of weird. You know, you see this is a audio and video device, it seems. Camera's got audio and video, so all these we're waiting. They accused Indiana Fever fans, and I guess Iowa fans, and I guess Caitlin Clark fans of all being a bunch of hood-wearing Klan members that were saying all these vile, racist things. We're waiting for all of the video to emerge of these vile, racist, pitchfork-carrying, cross-burning Klan members.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Let's talk about what happened. The Suns' playoff dreams crushed. But that's not even the craziest part. There's a storm brewing around DiJonai Carrington, and it all started with an eye poke. Yeah, you heard that right, an eye poke. But here's where it gets really wild. This isn't just about one bad game or a clumsy move on the court. The drama that's unfolding could change Carrington's whole career and shake up the Suns' future.
I'm just pointing it out. I mean, that's what we keep hearing. When does that proof surface? Inquiring minds want to know. In the stands of all these Fever games, we're waiting for those videos to come out, and all this proof that all these WNBA players were subjected to all this stuff, right? So last night, DiJonai Carrington and Thomas got in a bit of a kerfuffle off the side of the court last night.
You know what's even crazier? This might be just the beginning of something much bigger in the WNBA. Are you ready to see how deep this rabbit hole goes? You think you know drama? This is next level. One split-second moment on the court turned into a full-blown crisis. We're talking accusations of weapons, death threats, and the WNBA itself stepping in. And it all started with something so small you'd never believe it could cause this much chaos. Picture this. DiJonai Carrington accidentally pokes Caitlin Clark in the eye during a playoff game.
So let's check this out. Here's the video right here, and there's DiJonai with her fingernails and her hair.
I also like it when you have the ball. Like, if we set a really good screen, you've got an opportunity to attack. Okay, but right now we're playing this way. Okay, we got to force them to make some fucking calls, y'all.
Sounds pretty harmless, right? Wrong. This tiny incident set off a chain reaction that's shaking the WNBA to its core. Here's where it gets wild. Caitlin Clark herself said it wasn't intentional by any means. She's not even mad about it. So why are fans losing their minds? It's like they saw a completely different game. Some fans went off the deep end, claiming Carrington used her nails as a weapon.
That's Carrington and Bonner right there, folks. I mean, this is getting pretty interesting. Seriously. Oh, that's Stephanie White on the sideline. So, look at this picture. Could DiJonai be on her way out of the Suns? That's a good question. So, Alyssa Thomas finished with 7 points, 2 of 6 shooting. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah, you heard that right. They thought she was out there with Wolverine claws or something. But Carrington wasn't having it. She clapped back, showing off her short natural nails on social media. "I've loved rocking my short natural nails all season," she wrote. Can you believe she had to defend her manicure choices? But wait, it gets even crazier. Some so-called fans took this way too far. We're talking death threats and racial slurs over an accidental eye poke.
It was real bad right here. 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 7 points in the loss. And, 2.5 million people, 2.54 million people watched Caitlin Clark play that last WNBA playoff game. What I've got before you is the Connecticut Sun WNBA final attendance and viewership totals. All right. In other words, the ratings. They couldn't even sell out their own WNBA semifinal games. They play in an arena that holds around 8,900 fans, I believe, the Mohegan Sun, okay? I don't know if you noticed this. There is no totals on here that make up 8,900.
It's like they forgot these are real people out there on the court, and the WNBA had to step in and lay down the law. They released a statement saying, "The WNBA will not tolerate racist, derogatory, or threatening comments made about players, teams, and anyone affiliated with the league." Imagine being so good at your job that people send you death threats. It's insane. Carrington was visibly shaken by all this hate. Can you blame her? She went from playing her heart out in the playoffs to being public enemy #1 overnight. And for what? An accident that even the victim says was no big deal. This whole mess shows the dark side of sports fandom. One minute, you're cheering for your team. The next, you're sending threats to players over social media. It's like some fans forget there are real people behind those jerseys. But here's the thing, this isn't just about one player or one team. This incident is exposing some serious issues in the WNBA and sports culture as a whole, Laughs.
So look at these viewership totals. The highest one on there was Game 3, 885,000. Look at Game 4. Nearly over 500,000 people watched. And just called it out. DiJonai Carrington did all that clout chasing and still has no motion. I mean, they're going home. They're taking a Cancun vacation at this point, right? I mean, these totals, you're talking about like 4.5 times less fans watched the Connecticut Sun play than Caitlin Clark's last WNBA playoff game.
Why are fans so quick to attack? Why did this tiny moment blow up into such a huge controversy? Forget the eye poke drama for a second. The Connecticut Sun had bigger problems. Picture this, empty seats, teammates yelling at each other on the court, and fans actually celebrating their own team's elimination. How does a playoff team end up in such a mess? The Sun's playoff collapse was like watching a car crash in slow motion. You couldn't look away, but you also couldn't believe what you were seeing. Their arena, which holds about 800-900 fans, had more empty seats than a midnight showing of a bad movie. It's like the fans knew what was coming and decided to stay home. But the real shocker, the drama on the court, DiJonai Carrington, who was just named the WNBA's most improved player, went from hero to zero faster than you can say turnover. During the regular season, she was putting up impressive numbers.
I get it. She had a bad game. Connecticut Sun looked good. They looked experienced. They brought a level of intensity and physicality that the Fever weren't ready for. First 2 minutes of this game, this DiJonai Carrington stabbed Caitlin Clark with her fingernails right in the eye.
12.7 points, 5 rebounds, 1.6 assists, and 1.6 steals per game. But in the playoffs, it was like she forgot how to play basketball. And her teammates, they weren't exactly supportive. Imagine being in the middle of a crucial playoff game, and instead of working together, you're arguing about game strategy right there on the court. That's exactly what was happening with Carrington and her teammates. It was like watching a group project fall apart during the final presentation. The tension in the Suns' locker room was so thick you could cut it with a knife.
There was no foul call. There was no real discussion of it on the ESPN broadcast. 2 minutes into the game, on a dirty play with one of these women with these long fake fingernails that stabbed her in the eye. That did not mention that the biggest star in the history of the WNBA, the first woman to ever be the biggest star in American sports was assaulted.
It's one thing to have disagreements, but when you're visibly fighting during the game, that's a whole other level of dysfunction. Fans were probably wondering if they were watching a basketball game or a reality TV show. Speaking of fans, their reaction to all this was wild. You'd think they'd be upset about their team losing, right? Nope. Some of them were actually celebrating the Suns' elimination. Can you believe that? Fans were saying things like, "Good riddance to DiJonai Carrington." Talk about kicking someone when they're down. This whole mess raises some serious questions about the Sun as a team. How does a player go from being the most improved to the most criticized in just a few games? And what's going on with the team chemistry? It's like they forgot they were supposed to be playing together. The backlash on social media was intense. Fans weren't just disappointed, they were angry. It's like they felt personally betrayed by the team's performance. But here's the thing, when fans start celebrating their own team's elimination, you know something's seriously wrong. All of this drama overshadowed what should have been an exciting playoff series. Instead of talking about great plays or close games, everyone was focused on the Suns' implosion. It's a reminder that in sports, success isn't just about individual talent. It's about how well a team works together. You think the Suns' playoff disaster is the end of the story? Think again. This meltdown might just be the spark that ignites real change in the WNBA.
The fact that the Michael Jordan of the WNBA was assaulted has a black eye during the second half of the game because DiJonai Carrington stabbed her with her fingernails in the eye. Do you think that your meal ticket should be stabbed in the eye intentionally? Caitlin Clark's trying to pass the ball in the first 2 minutes of the game, and this woman swats at the basketball and somehow decides to turn her hand down and her fingernails and jab them right into the eye.
From player mental health to team dynamics, we're about to see the league transform in ways no one saw coming. Let's talk about DiJonai Carrington. She went from being named the WNBA's most improved player to public enemy #1 faster than a fast break. But here's the twist. This could be her chance to turn things around. How? By owning up to her mistakes and facing the criticism head on. Carrington's already taking steps in the right direction. She's not hiding from the backlash. Instead, she's addressing it publicly. That takes guts, especially when you're dealing with the kind of hate she's facing. But it's exactly what she needs to do to rebuild her image and get her reputation back on track. Now, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The WNBA isn't just sitting back and watching this drama unfold. They're taking action. They've got initiatives in place to support player mental health, especially when it comes to dealing with online hate. And get this, they're actively monitoring threats against players. It's like they've got a whole team dedicated to keeping their stars safe, both on and off the court. But what about the Sun as a team? Their chemistry was about as stable as a house of cards in a hurricane during those playoffs. So how do they fix it? It's not just about working on their game. They need to work on their relationships off the court too. Team building exercises, open communication, maybe even some group therapy sessions, whatever it takes to get everyone on the same page. And let's not forget about the fans. The Sun needs to win them back big time. We're talking community outreach, meet and greets, maybe even some behind the scenes content to show fans the human side of the players. They need to remind everyone why they fell in love with this team in the first place. But here's where it gets really interesting. Could all this drama actually be good for the WNBA in the long run? I know, it sounds crazy, but think about it. This controversy has got people talking about the league. It's shining a light on important issues like player safety and mental health, and it's forcing teams to take a hard look at how they operate. Imagine if the WNBA uses this as a chance to make some real changes. We could see new policies to protect players from online harassment. Teams might start putting more focus on mental health support. And who knows, maybe this will lead to more open conversations about the pressures these athletes face. And let's not forget about the fans. This whole mess might just make them more invested in the league. They're seeing the human side of these players, realizing they're not just athletes, but real people dealing with real challenges. That kind of connection, it's priceless. So yeah, the Suns' playoff meltdown was a disaster. But it might just be the wake-up call the WNBA needed. Sometimes you need to hit rock bottom before you can bounce back stronger than ever. Let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. This whole mess with the Sun and Carrington, it's not just about basketball, it's showing us how powerful social media can be, and not always in a good way. Fans went wild over something that wasn't even a big deal. But here's the thing, it's not all doom and gloom. This drama might actually help the WNBA grow. How? By sparking important conversations about player safety and mental health. It's like a wake-up call for everyone involved. And you know what? Despite all this craziness, the WNBA is still on the rise. More people are watching, more fans are getting excited, and the league is getting stronger. So yeah, things got messy for a while, but the future's looking bright for women's basketball. Who knows? This might be the push the league needed to become even better.